Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all well. Leggling again, and it's Sunday vinyl today. So, 5 records that I shall be listening to at some stage, probably this evening. A little bit of a mix and match again, and hopefully, it will. Little introductions will um, give you a taste of maybe perhaps wanting to go out and discover some of these artists. Okay, I'm not going to beat about the bush. I'll get straight into it. Number one, then. The first one I'm going to be listening to today is the marvellous Bill Nelson. And this is his record from the mid-80s called Getting the Holy Ghost Across. For those that don't know, Bill Nelson probably is most famous for being in his band Bebop Deluxe in the 70s. They were a sort of very difficult to categorise them, but a lot of people would say they were a bit of glam rock, progressive rock as well, with a bit of heavy rock in there, but very much experimental. But it was band, and this is, as I say, is 1986 record. When this record came out, he was very prolific at the time, and he had his thing called Kotu Records going ahead, along with his normal career, which this one is on Portrait Records. He had this other one, and he was doing all this experimental instrumental albums, but this is a vocal album. A great record. Great record. Fantastic cover. That's the back of it. There. All the tracks are great, but I'll give you 2 recommendations, as I always do, and that's the first track, Contemplation. Great track. And I would suggest the other one to go for is a thing called Rise Like a Fountain. Great songs. So it's one on each side, actually. That's not to take away the other 8 tracks. There's 10 tracks on here, because they're all great. They're really good songs. It's rock music, experimental music. It was one of the albums at the time, anyway, that Bill was using his guitar, fantastic guitar player, and this really does come out on this album. At this stage of his career, he was using a lot of keyboards. Not to say that he's not on here, but there's some great guitar playing, particularly on Contemplation. But what type of music is it? It's in a lot of ways straight ahead rock and roll music, really. Bit of indie sort of feel to it, very electronic. Really doesn't sound any like anybody else, really. This is a very individual album that Bill brought out. So really good one, this. So my first choice then is Getting the Holy Ghost Across, and as you can see there, the great man, along with his brother, has signed it for me. So one of my treasures, this one. So Getting the Holy Ghost Across then. Number 2, a little bit more of a modern one. This came out in 2010, and this is the marvellous Go by Johnsy. And this chap is from the fantastic band Sigur Rós, and thankfully they're getting back together and they're touring again this year, and the talk on the ground is that they're going to be doing a new album, which is great stuff. This is Johnsy's first solo album, proper, because he'd done experimentation, electronic stuff in between, but this was his first main one. This was a huge success. Let me just show you the vinyl. That's the inner sleeve there, very nice as well. It's lovely, glow in the dark red, a reddy orange tinge to it. Really like that. Okay, so 2 tracks then. They're all great. The 2 tracks that I go for probably would be Tornado and Grow Till Tall. That's the 2 tracks that I would go for from this album. Can you see the track listings there? Not a particularly long album. It's about just over 40 minutes, but it's a very intensive listen. So it's not Sigur Rós. He's singing in English, a combination of English and Icelandic on here. But it's very upbeat, very dancey, a very happy album, where Sigur Rós albums tend to be, apart from one, very melancholic, very sort of serious and very chilled albums that Sigur Rós do. But this is anything but that. This is a very happy, upbeat album. Great album to put you in a really good mood. If you're sort of down in the dumps, then this is the one to sort of stick on and cheer yourself up a bit. The tour was absolutely fabulous that he did on this. And it's a great album. We are talking 22 years old now. This came out in 2010. So there we are. And this is Johnsy then, his first solo album, Proper Go. We're going, is this the oldest out of the lot of them? Yeah, it is. We're going right back to the 70s here. So this is 1978, and it's certainly my favourite solo album by this chap. This chap was the second guitar player in Genesis, the progressive rock band. So those people that know Genesis and know the little bits and bobs about Genesis, they will know that what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Steve Hackett, and this is his second solo record, Please Don't Touch. Definitely my favourite album. This album, there he is at the back there. That's on Brighton Beach. Let me just show you I really like this. This is some Polaroids there of all the people helping out with the album. Really like that. I like this effect as well. So it's sort of old classic script at the top there, and then underneath you've got all the lyrics to the songs, and then you've got in the boxes there, certainly that one, the actual instruments and the types of guitar that Steve playing on this album. This album is his album where he brought in special guests, not least 2 great singers, and they are Randy Crawford. And this album, when you consider, did come out in early '78, was before people were really aware of her with the Crusaders, Rainy Night in Georgia and all that sort of stuff she did with them. This is before that. And this was really, in a lot of ways, a big sort of European break on this album. The track that Randy is singing on is Hoping Love Will Last. That's a beautiful song. I think it's on this channel somewhere on YouTube. So I would strongly recommend you to try and hunt that down. It's a beautiful song. I don't think there's any live footage of it doing it, but it's a great song. The other vocalist on here of note, there are others, is Richie Havens. I think people of a certain age will know who he is from Woodstock and all sorts of different things, you know. But he's a great singer, Richie Havens. He's on 2 tracks on here. He's on Racing in A and Icarus Ascending. 2 great tracks. However, you know, you've got Steve Walsh from Poco on here. Is it Poco that they're from? Just bear with me a minute. I might have got that wrong. No, I think it is. I think it is Poco that they're from. And he sings on a couple of tracks as well. But what the album does, it's influenced by a lot of people. So you've got the first track, Narnia, which is based on The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Great song, which is a children's book. Carry On Up the Vicarage is dedicated to Agatha Christie. Brilliant song. Kim is a song for his wife at the time, who did this marvelous painting. He used to play that a lot. It's an instrumental. And then How Can I is Richie again. And then I've already mentioned Hoping Love Will Last. And the rest of the tracks on side 2 just merge into one another. It's a great album. If you don't know this, if you love your Genesis, when this was the first one he did after he left Genesis, and people may argue with me that the albums that Genesis were doing at the time were certainly not as good as this. I think he was outdoing him, and the other person that was doing the same was Peter Gabriel. He was far more interesting, along with Steve, than what they were doing, and both those people left. So that is my number 3 then. So the 2 tracks I would recommend are Hoping Love Will Last from here, and How Can I, which is the Richie Havens song. So the last track on side 1 and the first track on side 2. There we are. Right, we're coming right fairly recent now then, fairly modern album. This group was introduced to me by a good friend last year. I was not aware of this lot at all. They're a British band, and the person that introduced me to them downloaded a track from YouTube for me, and I thought, I've got to get this lot. This is their 3rd album that I'm going to be showing you, and each album has got a theme. And what this band do is very similar to what Bill Nelson, the first one I showed you, was doing in the 80s. So Bill used to utilize all these film soundtrack sound bites and advertisements and things like that to enhance his music or an individual track. Well, what this band do, they take up a particular theme, and it's a historic theme normally, and they make a whole album about it. And this 3rd album by Public Service Broadcasting is called Every Valley. This album is all about the downfall of the coal industry in Wales. And let me just show you the attention to detail that they take is fabulous. That's the outside of this is the inside. And what they did, they actually went to a village in Wales where there was, a disaster. A pit collapsed and there was a lot of people killed. And, many would argue that, the coal mining industry, when it stopped, really affected Wales more than anywhere else. Well, I'm from up in the northern part of England, so it wasn't just Wales, it was a whole region of the northern part of England that was affected by all the closures of the pits. And this album is all about that. The booklet that you get inside, before I go on to the music, is beautifully done. You've got a history of mining inside. There we've got pictures of, that's the main chap. His name is called J. Wildegoose Esquire. That's a picture of them setting up the studio, and basically what they did, they went into a small village. It's like a youth centre that they went there, and they were allowed to set up their studio there, and that's where they recorded the album. And this is very interesting. This is called Production and Employment, a chart of how much coal was produced and how many people were involved in the process from, let's have a look now, from 1857 to 2015. So it's the output of coal in tons and the thousands of employed people. Very, very interesting. It's a very emotional album, this one. And this is the drummer, called Wigglesworth. And that's part of the orchestra that they were using in Wales. They used a few orchestrations, and the other chap that's on the album as well, he mainly joined for this one, is just a minute, let me just find his name. It is, oh god, bear with me, not very professional here. What the heck's his name? No, can't find him. So I'm sorry about that. Or is it on the next page? No, it's not. It's not. But he came in, this chap came in, and they became a three-piece after this album. They were originally a duo. This album is just so emotional, and what basically they do is they take tapes, vocals of J.F. Abraham, that's the other guy's name, and there's the track listing there. They take snippets of audio footage of miners down the pit. They interview people that are still living in that village, and the effect that the pit closures had on the community, all interspersed with this great music. It's a fabulous album. It's very easy on the ear, it's very melodic, and in a way it's, for people that are interested in the mining part of England, this is a historic document. It really is. And now that's how it's being viewed. Two tracks for you then that I would recommend to take away. I would go with a track from each side, and I will go with the title track, Every Valley, which is the first track. But my favourite track is beautiful track. It's called They Gave Me a lamp. That is beautiful. A beautiful, beautiful track. This came out in 2017. Okay, I think most of the album possibly you can listen to on YouTube. Let me just show you this is one of these clear vinyls again. Beautiful. So this is I'm really fortunate to get this. This is a limited edition thing. So showing off a bit, really. So this is my fourth choice then, which I'm going to be listening to later. Really looking forward to listening to it again, and it is the marvellous Public Service Broadcasting, their third album, Every Valley Then. Great album. And my last one for today is going back to the 80s. This is from 1985, and a lot of people would probably say that this lady, this is her best album. Well, it ain't far off. It's certainly got a masterpiece on there, in my opinion. And it's Kate Bush, so I think everybody knows this, don't you? This is The Hounds of Love. Beautiful, beautiful photograph there. There she is again before we talk about the music. And then we've got another beautiful photograph in the inner sleeve there with the two dogs. Beautiful. There she is again. Okay, as we probably are aware, this album should be in everybody's collection. So I really can't tell you much more than what's not already been said and written about this album. It's deemed as a classic, and for good reason it is. The two tracks that I would recommend, Running Up That Hill, probably an obvious choice, you would say. But my second is the whole of the second side, which is The Ninth Wave. That one there. There's you know, the second side just takes you on a journey. It's not an easy journey. It's all about, being caught up, drowning and under the ice, and surviving, being shipwrecked, so it's not an easy listen, but it's a beautiful listen. It's broken down into 7 different sections, but they all interlink, and the things, I think it's about 19 minutes, something like that. It is a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece, and I think everybody should listen to that. I think it's in this book. There's a great book called 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. This is it. This is in there. So for good reason, because possibly of the ninth wave there. But the first side is just the great, a hits, apart from Mother Stands for Comfort. So you got Running Up That Hill, Hounds of Love, The Big Sky, love that song as well. Mother Stands for Comfort, and Cloud Busting. So 4 out of the 5 were big hits. It's a great album. The only thing I can say about this. Okay, so I'm ending today with the marvellous Kate Bush, then Hounds of Love from 1985. Have a great evening, everybody. I'm sorry it's a bit late. Okay, but I was doing stuff today, so there we are. Okay, so there's my 5 records that I'm going to be listening to this evening. Please subscribe, make a comment below, and tell me what you think. I don't mind if it's positive, negative, whatever. A comment is a comment. Okay, and I would love to hear from you all. Again, as I said yesterday, if there's anything perhaps that you want me to talk about, an artist or an album, then please let me know. And if I've got it, then by all means, I will do that. But hopefully you've enjoyed my little 25 minutes or whatever it is today, and the 5 albums and the little introductions that perhaps might make you want to go and just dip your toe in and have a look at these artists. Okay, again, have a great evening, and I will see you at some stage tomorrow. Bye-bye.